Hello, it's Nemesis Nick here. I'm a keen fan of the Eurovision Song Contest. It's time to talk Eurovision. Germany's national final for the Eurovision Song Contest 2025, Chefsache ESC 2025, Wer singt für Deutschland, took place yesterday evening, Saturday 1st of March 2025. I watched Chefsache ESC 2025, Wer singt für Deutschland live online from the UK yesterday evening. As you probably know, 9 finalist songs took part. I watched the preview video of each song once each, start to finish, and again piecemeal whilst preparing my script for the preview video I made yesterday afternoon. So I was already reasonably familiar with the 9 finalist songs by the time last night's show began. A link to my preview video for Chefsache ESC 2025, Wer singt für Deutschland is available in the description for this video. Last night, Chefsache ESC 2025 final consisted of 2 rounds. During the first round, each of the 9 artists performed a cover of another artist's song, followed by their own song, which was intended for Eurovision. For the purposes of this video, I'm giving my points of view on last night's live performances of the Eurovision songs only, and ignoring the cover songs. Please excuse me if I mispronounce any German song titles or artist names. Okay. Eurovision Song 1, The Great Leslie These Days. A rock song. Unsurprisingly for a rock song, electric guitars and the drum kit feature heavily in this song. For some reason, last night's performance featured green and magenta lighting. Words also appeared on the background screen and the overhead panels. Just when one thought this song was over, there was a bit more after a pause. Altogether a very lively rock song with a powerful catchy chorus. This sounds to me somewhat similar to the songs that Adam and the Ants produced in the early 1980s. So if this had gone to Eurovision, would some have seen this as behind the times, or would today's rock fans have still wanted to vote for this? Anyway, this advanced to the second round. Eurovision Song 2, Benjamin Bratt's Like You Love Me, a country ballad. A guitar can be heard throughout. Benjamin sang the opening section while seated in the audience or with competitors, but soon afterwards got up and walked to the stage. Once on the stage, he performed most of the rest of the song on the giant chair. Wouldn't it have been easier to have just stood on the stage itself? On the whole, this is certainly a pleasant song to relax to, but I don't think this would have had enough impact for a good result in Basel. In the end, this was eliminated at the end of the first round. Okay, moving on. Eurovision Song 3, Leonora the Bliss. This sounds to me like a country song. That said, being as brass instruments and drums have been included for part of the song, it sounds to me as though there are some jazz elements included as well. Early on, Leonora performed while seated at and appearing to play the grand piano, though I'm not sure whether she was actually playing it or just miming it. By the start of the second verse, she was standing on the stage. The verses are sung quite softly, but the chorus was a little more memorable, and the final instance of the chorus was sung in quite a powerful manner. For last night's performance, the white light beams suited this song well. Another likeable song, and Leonora has quite a nice voice, but it's questionable how well this could have done at Eurovision. Anyway, this advanced to the second round. Eurovision song for Feuerschwan's Nightclub, a hard rock song, or perhaps it's punk rock, glam rock, or heavy metal. Anyway, the instances of the chorus are in English and the verses are in German. If this had gone to Eurovision, I think the chorus lines "in the nightclub, party in the nightclub" would have been memorable enough to most viewers all over the world, even with just a limited knowledge of English. The title Nightclub, spelled Knightclub, appears in the chorus lines, but interestingly it starts with a K. If they mean nightclub as in where one goes to drink and dance at night, it should start with the letter N. If it's referring to knights as in those who fought on horseback in medieval times, it's evidently a play on words. Unsurprisingly, for a song of this style, last night's performance featured use of electric guitars and a drum kit. In addition, yellow light beams flashed on and off, and some flame effects were simulated on a background screen. For some reason, fireworks appeared from the tips of the guitar necks about 2/3 of the way through. Altogether, an extremely lively song from start to finish. I've never liked this style, but there must be plenty of hard rock, glam rock, punk rock and heavy metal fans in Germany who would have wanted to have voted for this in the public vote last night, and all over Europe, Australia and the rest of the world who would have wanted to have voted for this in the Eurovision Song Contest 2025 Grand Final public vote. In the end, this was eliminated at the end of the first round last night. I'm not surprised at that. The first round was decided by jury voting only, and from what I can gather, juries don't tend to vote for this style of song. I'll say more about the voting for that later. Eurovision Song 5 Moss Kenner, Nothing Can Stop Love, a ballad. I like the introduction very much, and the piano can be heard during the first verse. Interestingly, Moss mentions Venus and Mars in the first verse, so there's an element of space theming in this song. The chorus is more powerful than the verses and is quite memorable. Finally, I like the way in which Moss finishes off the song. I'm mystified as to why Moss performed a song standing on a circular plinth last night. Presumably this was an attempt to replicate Switzerland's winning entry last year. Anyway, a dry ice effect could be seen radiating from it, which looks spectacular. Upward or downward light beams were also added at times. Altogether an amazing ballad. Moss has a beautiful voice and sang well last night, but this might have been too forgettable to score points at Eurovision. Anyway, this advanced to the second round. Eurovision Song 6, Aber und Tinner Baller. This is sung in German. It's great to hear a song in a country's native language. According to Eurovision World, the title means shoot. I like the combination of strings and electronic sounds in the introduction. The song starts with the opening instance of a chorus, which is 4 lines twice over. I like the way in which Baller and Fallen are sung in the chorus. There's a beat in the chorus which appears twice more. The remaining 2 instances of a chorus are preceded by a verse and pre-chorus, which are noticeably different to the chorus. For last night's performance, blue was the dominant colour scheme for the lighting. Blue light beams or lasers formed an amazing cone effect from overhead at times. Near the end, the song title appeared on the background screen, and there were some dry ice effects. Altogether, quite a lively, catchy song. This could do reasonably well at Eurovision, but then again, this could go the way We Will Rave went in the Eurovision Song Contest Grand Final did last year. For now, This advanced to the second round. Eurovision Song 7, Cosby, I'm Still Here. A country song. The opening verse is sung softly and a piano can be heard. The pre-chorus is sung in quite a bouncy manner. For some reason, the lead singer performed the first verse kneeling or lying on the stage, but was standing before the first instance of the chorus. The chorus is sung in a varied manner. The line, "I don't know why it hurts so bad," is quite powerful. Evidently, the lead singer wanted to emphasise that line. After the first instance of the chorus ends, one member of the band starts playing an electric guitar. This can be heard during the second verse. Some lines of the second verse are sung more powerfully than the first verse. The second instance of the chorus is sung more powerfully than the first and features drums as well as the electric guitar. Another instance of the chorus sung softly without the guitar and drums, so as a bridge, before a lively outro. In last night's performance, flashing white light beams enhanced the second instance of the chorus and the outro. Altogether a song which starts softly but is livelier in the latter parts. A country song with some rock blended in at times. The snag is, who would have voted for this at Eurovision? I think someone who likes country ballads would want a pure country ballad throughout, and true rock fans would want something lively from the start. Anyway, this was eliminated at the end of the first round. Eurovision Song 8, Lisa, Lovers on Mars. Another country song. This one has a very catchy, memorable chorus. Last night, Lisa stood on a disc. Presumably, this was an attempt to replicate Switzerland's winning performance from last year. For purposes of last night's performance, part of a planet was shown graphically on the background screen, and a shooting star pattern was shown on the stage floor and background screen. About 2/3 of the way through, blue light beams appeared. There was a key change which is customary for many Eurovision songs before a late but not the last appearance of a song. This advanced to the second round. Eurovision Song 9, Julika Empress. The final song of the night for round, or at least the final song, the final song for round one, and it was a country ballad. The piano can be heard throughout and there is a beat at times. During the section starting, All the Demons Come to Life, which I think is the pre-chorus. I like the way there are pauses between words. I also like the variation in pitch on what I think is the chorus, that being the part starting Make Up Your Mind. For last night's performance, what looked to me like a plant appeared on the background screen at the start. Red light beams were used at times. It looked as though Julika must have been elevated somehow so that her stage assistants could hold pieces of material radiating from her waist and wave them. Finally, a key change occurred before the final instance of the chorus. Another pleasant ballad, and Julika has a beautiful voice, but I'm not sure this would have had enough impact at Eurovision. In the end, this was eliminated at the end of the first round. That's probably just as well, because I, for one, have noticed, and no doubt others must have seen or heard, what's in the second line of a verse starting Monday evening, I've had enough. That verse would have had to have been modified to replace the disallowed word, which I won't quote here, and it would have been preferable to find an acceptable substitute word instead of just leaving a pause like Isaac did in the line, no one gives about what's still to come. Do you remember that? Anyway, those are my points of view on the 9 would have been Eurovision songs, and here is my ranking in My Eurovision Scoreboard based solely on last night's live performances. Okay, here I go. Bottom of my ranking in 9th place, Feuerschwanz. Okay, I might have been partly influenced by my dislike the hard rock heavy metal, but that was bottom on my ranking. Then 8th place, Benjamin Bratz. 7th, Leonora. 6th, the Great Leslie. 5th, Ulika. 4th, Cosby. Now moving into my top 3. 3rd, Aborn und Tinner. 2nd, Lisa. And top of my ranking, my number 1, Moskenna. The jury members voted for the 9 songs in the first round, but once all the songs had been performed, there was no scoreboard. Instead, all 9 artists appeared together on stage and the host announced which 5 artists went through to the second round. This is the order in which the top 5 of the jury vote were announced. The Great Leslie These Days, Leonora the Bliss, Moskenna Nothing Can Stop Love, Abor und Tinner Baller, Lisa Lovers on Mars. Interestingly, that's the order in which they performed earlier. If someone had spotted this early enough, they would have figured out that they might have figured out that the artists which had been skipped weren't going through. Ideally, the names should have been called in a completely random order. The second round was decided by televoting only. Whilst the lines are open, 2 recaps of clips of 5 qualifying artists' Eurovision songs only, covers admitted, were shown. After the lines closed and a short filler, all 5 artists from the second round appeared together on stage. A bar chart appeared on the background screen, growing from left to right with the percentages in place once fully formed, but no names. After a pause, the artists which fitted each position from highest to lowest were slotted in. The winner was Abor und Tinner Baller. They received 34.9% of the public vote. Congratulations to Abor und Tinner for winning. So Abor und Tinner will represent Germany with Baller at the Eurovision Song Contest 2025 in Basel in May. As a Big 5 member, Germany is guaranteed a place in the grand final and doesn't have to worry about qualifying for one of the semi-finals. Good luck to Abor und Tinner in the Eurovision Song Contest 2025 grand final on Saturday the 17th of May 2025. Well done to the other 4 artists who reached the second round, no matter where they placed in the public vote, and also to the remaining 4 artists who performed in the first round, only to be eliminated in the jury vote. Remember, all 9 artists who performed last night already did well to get through one of the heats, followed by the semi-final, none of which I saw. For the record, I haven't seen or heard any of the Chefsache ESC 2025 songs which are eliminated in the heats or semi-final. Before I go, I'd like to say a little about last night's final in general. Firstly, I question the need for each artist to perform a cover of another artist's song before performing their own would-be Eurovision song. To make matters worse at the start, the host announced the Great Leslie's performance of Waterloo by ABBA with minimal presentation. After that song ended, a title card appeared. The Great Leslies spoke about their would-be Eurovision song, These Days. Their name appeared on screen and they performed These Days. After that, there was minimal presentation in announcing the next artist's cover song. It seemed that each time around, the greatest effort was placed between a particular artist's cover song and Eurovision song, rather than one artist's Eurovision song and the next artist's cover song. I think this procedure was confusing and needlessly dragged out the show. Effectively, there were 18 songs performed in the first round last night, not just 9 hopefuls for Eurovision 2025. Was there really any benefit in getting the artists to perform a cover song before their Eurovision song? Secondly, the voting procedure was, in my opinion, rather unfair. At the end of the first round, the bottom 4 of the jury vote were quietly eliminated as they weren't called out, and thus the public never had a chance to vote for them. I think it would have been fair if each jury member had awarded points, and the public had been able to vote on all 9 Eurovision songs whilst the lines were open. For example, I think the jury should have awarded 2, like in the actual contest itself. Last night, I think the individual jury members should have awarded 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12. And they could have all been put on a scoreboard. Once the lines closed, they could have announced the individual jury members' points, and after that, the public vote points could have been calculated as a percentage of the total jury points given, and the public votes could have been allocated to a scoreboard. The result might have been totally different to what happened last night, when the public only had the top 5 of the first round of the jury vote to choose on. For example, I think Feuerschwan's nightclub might have ended up with quite a high public vote score, even if they scored hardly any jury points. Excuse me a minute. Do you agree or disagree with my points of view on the songs or my ranking? What did you think of last night's result? Do you feel the correct song won Chefsache ESC 2025? Wer singt für Deutschland last night? Out of the 9 finalists, which song did you want to win and thus represent Germany at the Eurovision Song Contest 2025? Did you think the correct 5 songs made it to the second round? If not, which 5 songs did you want to see in the second round? Alternatively, was there a song eliminated in either the heats or a semi-final which you feel should have reached the final and won? Let me know in the comments below. Also, if you liked this video, remember to hit the like button, and if you're liking all my Eurovision videos, remember to subscribe to my channel. In the meantime, just be happy I'm not a twin. Goodbye, da boch, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen, adios, arrivederci, do widzenia, do pobacenia.